I have to think of my wife, Charlette Adele Keechler. And I've watched her over the years. Well, we've been together for 30 or so, 30 or more years now. And she just has that magic touch. And so, my honey bunny, Charlette, would you introduce and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Mrs. Kwame. No, I'm kidding. Charlotte Horton Keechler. I am a physical education teacher, plus other things, in the Columbus City School District. I teach college credit plus courses at my school, and the enrollment person that helps students get enrolled into Columbus State classes so they can get high school and college credit uh, during the same school year. I also teach college and career seminar, try to help these 11th and 12th graders focus on what they want to do post high school graduation. At South, I also coach varsity volleyball and track and field. I also dance for Chisan West African Dance Institute. And I'm thankful for my husband who allows me to do all those things and helps keep me sane.
uh, well, as you can tell, my wife is a very busy sister. And it's easy to be amenable to her doing all those things because of the kind of work she does, but particularly how she helps to develop young sisters and brothers into beautiful young women and men. And babe, would you be so kind as to share some of your experiences? Because, as you know, and I've shared with you that I will be bringing on some of those young ladies and some of the brothers. In fact, one of the brothers is in our family, right, Shamar. But yeah, we'll be interviewing some of those. So yeah, share some of your experiences in terms of some of these young ladies and brothers you've helped to develop and come into their own.
Sure. I really enjoy education because you're really growing people. You're growing the next up people. And I've had the pleasure of teaching people that I genuinely would be interested in being cool with after graduation. To go in the Wayback Machine, I started teaching at the elementary school level. I was at Burroughs Elementary for 8 years. And then I went to Main Street and Kent Elementary Schools. They don't exist anymore, but meaningful time there. And after Maine and Kent closed, then I went to Indianola Middle School, not the good one, but the hood one, where the short north posse reigned supreme, but uh, still met incredible people there. And after Indianola Middle School, I was at Southmore Middle School until it closed. And now I'm at South High School. So
So, I wanted to ask you a quick question, babe. You remember what your license plate used to have on it?
I do. When
tell,
we
tell
got
the family
married,
about that.
sure. When we got married, I, wanted to celebrate the fact that my name is Charlotte Keechler and my husband Calvin Keechler. So I got initials. I got CK on my license plate. Maybe not the best idea riding around some neighborhoods, which I didn't know. I was oblivious to. And my car was burgundy at the time too. So there were times I got looks driving through London with the CK. What was it? CK 70 or something like
Yeah,
CK. What was it?
70.
Yes. Yeah, that wasn't the best license plate idea, but we live and we learn.
So, what did you learn from that experience? Why did that make you people give you looks out the side eye and whatnot?
Right. They thought I was advertising cop killer on my car and that I was representing some gang affiliation. I wasn't. I just wanted to represent the Keechler family, you know.
You
Yeah,
said,
there we go. Again, live and learn. But what's really cool about all the educational experiences that I've had is that I can go back to each one of those schools, and there are people that I'm still in contact with to this day, as far as students, be it from just in the classroom or coaching double dutch back when I was at Burroughs Elementary to when I was at Main Street and Kent Elementary. There's family ties that I'm connected to because Kent Elementary School is a feeder to South. There are still families that I'm still in touch with from way back at Kent Elementary, and now there's relatives at South High School, and we get to connect that way as well.
right. And some of those folks were neighborhood folks because, we were like,
Absolutely.
yeah, Kimball Place there. So, yeah.
Yes, because we lived in the neighborhood, it made it extra special. Get to see the students, our neighbors, all the time, inside and outside of school. So it was good to see them in school and out of school. It wasn't a burden. I felt it was kind of cool. You've had some people. One of my students started your locks at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors.
Actually, it was two of them. Because one did one side, and what were those girls' names?
Kavina and Kevrini.
Yeah. Which one was the oldest? Because she did one side, and I'm trying to. Was it Mary who did the other side, or who
Oh
was
wow.
it?
I don't remember. I don't remember. So yes. So, lots of good people, lots of great people along the way. Meeting people that you are glad to call your neighbor, as children and as adults. Matter of fact, somebody that I had as a student and had as a neighbor come and did our electricity like 10, 15 years later, So very cool stuff. But going back to why growing individuals, but especially empowering young women to be their best. Because I do that through athletics, because that's what nurtured me. Having the light bulb come on to let people know that they are physically capable of things that they didn't think they could do is really empowering for them. And it just warms my heart, when that happens. So teaching them life lessons through athletics and helping them to push through some of the things they may be struggling with, and to help build their confidence, because a lot of times confidence is an issue. So
yeah, even as you were speaking, it made me think of one of the pledges in our Jinyame pledge. It says, "I pledge to live my life and go beyond all self-imposed limitations." And that's what you help some of these sisters do, as well as I've watched you yourself do it. And being a great admirer of yours, I try to emulate you in that.
Go on. No, really, I'm just kidding. But
you see why I love this woman.
But it's a struggle. It is a struggle. You hear me. I get home. I call you on the way home. My husband always asks me how my day was. If it's a game day, how'd it go? How'd we do? Give me a highlight. And you've heard me with the coarse voice. It's a struggle. These girls don't know their worth or their potential, and trying to get them to play their best or, push past their own self-imposed limits. It's a challenge. And a lot of it is the mindset things that people are talking about now. And a lot of it is repetition. And when we're not accustomed to doing it often, and you're put in that position, you're not going to be as successful oftentimes as the person that does it all the time or does it more often.
Right.
Just like your free throws or your serve in volleyball.
Say
The
that.
more repetitions you get, the better you are at your craft.
So
And the
what you're
more
saying is
confidence
that
you
our
have.
babies, for example, in volleyball, our babies don't get the club volleyball like some do.
That's right. And when you don't get the reps, when it's time to show up at crunch time, you aren't practiced on how to deal with the pressure, not just how to perform, but how to perform under pressure. So it's a challenge that that is a life lesson that our young people need to know.
And and you help them navigate that. I know, I know you feel like it's a shipwreck at times, but but you know that's all a part of the learning process. Uh, I don't want to carry this out too long necessarily. However, we can always bring you back. But I wanted you to share one of the highlights you were sharing with me over the last year to show how when you plant a seed, it matures into what you wanted it to be, and then it plants a seed. So go ahead and share that with us.
Okay, I know where you're going with this. So back at one of my schools, I met this sixth grader who was full of spunk and attitude, lots of energy. And she had a lot of mouth too, but she was she had a lot going on, and that's cool. Seventh grade, she decides to try out for volleyball. She does. She does well. She falls in love with it. It becomes almost an obsession. Eighth grade, same. Eighth grade, we moved from being at Southmore and into South, which is now a 7 through 12 building. And at that point, she encouraged me to take the high school job. So I would coach her. I will have coached her for 6 years, and I did. And the seed of loving something and pursuing it and doing it with excellence and learning about it, her passion just grew and grew and grew.
And Jinyame, we refer to that as mastering the craft.
Yes, absolutely. She sought out opportunities. She sought out club opportunities and grew exponentially, bringing back things that I could use from her club experience to help me be a better coach, certainly. And as she grew to be obsessed with this sport, she also grew as a person. At times her mouth could be a little slick, and she had to go through some growth and maturity.
Some readjustment.
To do a little tune-up. And at times it wasn't easy. But thankfully, she was always very respectful of me. Navigating other people, I would advocate for her, not excusing her, but helping her navigate through the challenges of being a high schooler. And then watching her go to Central State and be successful there. She played a year of volleyball there. She navigated through being at Central State and getting having a good time and getting the best out of Central State. And now she is back as my assistant coach for volleyball. And I'm grooming her to do the takeover. And as I I'm not joking, I tell her all the time, I am grooming you so you can know how to be the head coach. And I will happily be your assistant coach when you come and take over Central Ohio volleyball. I will gladly toss volleyballs for you. I will gladly hold the clipboard for you. I will gladly be your assistant coach, because in our community, we need to raise the future instead of complaining about this, that, and the third, or being selfish and hanging on to this dynasty that you're creating. Oh, then what happens when you're gone? What happens when you're sick? What happens when you get COVID? So
y'all hear this, family? This is my wife speaking. Y'all see why I love this woman so much? I'm
So
sorry,
it's
babe.
not,
Go ahead.
it's okay. It's my cheerleader. I know you hear it all the time on your end, but he does it in my presence too. He's the best. But we have to, what are we doing if we're not raising the future? I mean, what are we doing? So we do a disservice to our community when we hold on to it so tight and don't give young people the tools to be successful. We just sit around and complain about it. You got to give them the tools to be successful. So um, now she, helps me with volleyball. She's doing drill team at the high school, and doing an amazing job and learning the ins and outs and bumps and bruises of being the advisor of her own program and things like that. But I'm happy to help her navigate those waters, and look forward to being able to help somebody else as needed. So, yeah.
Well, babe, I could talk to you forever, and I plan on it, but not this evening, and not on this platform. But again, I thank you so much for your time and family. This is a special edition of Tribal Quotes, being black, boldly brilliant, and beautiful as my wife. One love.